everybody, welcome back to 30 Days Until Done. We're working on our month of revision, and we're working on our sound devices this week. And so yesterday we worked on rhyme, which, I don't know, people struggle with it. I think the worst part of it for people is that they're always working for the rhyme, right? Rather than allowing the rhyme to be buried, they think they have to end with that rhyme. And the reason they feel that they have to is because there are a lot of only verbal art forms where you do have to end with a rhyme. Music, spoken word poetry, poetry for young people. All of these are poetry meant for people who aren't going to be seen on a page. Spoken word poetry is meant to be in front of a crowd. Poetry for children is meant to be for people who can't read. Music is obviously just over the radio, or I guess now the computer. Okay, so don't feel that you are stuck with that limitation, though. You can bury it. It doesn't really matter where you bury it in the poem. Sometimes, well, okay. We're going to work on alliteration today. And alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds anywhere in the word, right? So this is one that's tremendously powerful in English. It's so powerful you do it unconsciously. For example, people will say boy band and girl group. Nobody says girl band, nobody says boy group, right? That's because it's memorable in that way. Back in the 80s, you're going to be surprised that this is from the 80s. It's from the 1980s. Come see the softer side of Sears, right? Those of you who were alive in the 80s remember that ad campaign, right? Because it's just so alliterative, the softer side of Sears, right? It's stuck there in your head forever. Like rhyme, this enhances the emotion we're having because you're repeating that same sound, right? That sound that creates an emotion in you. And so we can work with alliteration in the same way we do with rhyme. However, it's more natural, it's more invisible, so your readers are going to have a more unconscious reaction to this. It's just like they're feeling something. I don't know where these emotions are coming from inside of me. It's not. You can't point to that rhyme. It's there. Okay, so I want you to take the same poem that you did yesterday and work on just maybe one line, hitting that alliteration, trying to develop it. Now, here's the thing about sound devices. All of them. If you do too much, they become showy, they become obvious, they become ridiculous, they ruin everything. So I'm talking about maybe 2, maybe 3 words where you're doing the repetition of this consonant. And remember to keep the original someplace else, because I'm sure that we're not going to end up with a good poem by the end of this because of what we're doing. But we will have gained an incredible skill, right? And you were wondering, when you first started writing, how do people get all that emotion into a poem? This is how they do it, right? They're playing with the science of the human brain, and as long as you do it subtly and just a little bit, you can really get people into that. Take a look at Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle to That Good Night," and you can find it everywhere online. Take out the vowels in some of those lines, and you'll be making the sounds of crying. And that's why you get so weepy at the end of "Do Not Go Gentle to That Good Night." It's because he's talking about the loss of his father, but it's also because of the sound that you're making. Okay, so when you're done, take that line, or maybe the same 4 lines, and post them down below. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.